This week, Russian forces broke through Ukrainian defenses northwest of Pokrovsk. The advance of nearly 10 kilometers is the deepest in months on this part of the front. Small sabotage and reconnaissance units slipped through weak points, avoiding direct armored assaults. They used forests, abandoned buildings, and natural cover to bypass Ukrainian strongholds. Drones targeted supply roads, hitting the most important highways for the city. President Vladimir Zelensky called the situation very difficult, warning this could be the prelude to a wider offensive. And the road to Pokrovsk is now open. Russian forces did not advance with tanks or armored columns. They came in small groups, fast, quiet, and coordinated. Sabotage and reconnaissance teams crossed the front under cover of night. They moved through forests, trenches, and abandoned homes, avoiding open ground. Every step forward was guided by drone surveillance from above. FPV drones struck Ukrainian outposts and vehicles. Repeater drones extended the range of Russian operators. Fiber optic drones resisted Ukrainian jamming, maintaining control even under heavy electronic interference. Their targets were not just soldiers. They hit supply routes, fuel depots, and field command posts. The highways that were vital to Pokrovsk's defense were hit multiple times. By the time Ukrainian reinforcements arrived, Russian units had already dug in. Some villages were lost entirely. Others became contested ground, changing hands more than once in a single day. Ukrainian commanders admit the breach is serious, and now both armies are preparing for the kind of fight that could decide who holds the line. On the Russian side, over 110,000 troops are now concentrated in the sector. Artillery batteries fire around the clock, supported by bomber aircraft launching glide bombs from deep inside Russian airspace. Armored vehicles remain in reserve, held back until a breakthrough can be widened. The Ukrainian side is stretched thin. Defensive lines have been rebuilt after each strike, but manpower is limited. Fresh units are being rotated in, many of them recently mobilized and lacking combat experience. Some arrive with little more than small arms and shoulder-fired anti-tank weapons. Russian tactics are relentless. Infiltration teams probe defenses from multiple directions at once. Artillery zeroes in on any Ukrainian position that opens fire. Electronic warfare units jam communications, disrupting coordination between frontline and rear command. Ukrainian tactics are defensive but adaptive. Counterattacks hit isolated Russian groups before they can link up. Sniper teams operate along the flanks, targeting officers and radio operators. Engineers reinforce choke points with mines and anti-vehicle traps. Neither side shows signs of backing down. And as the fighting intensifies, the war on the ground is about to collide with the diplomacy playing out thousands of miles away. The summit will take place in Alaska, a location loaded with Cold War symbolism. It is where U.S. radar networks once scanned the skies for incoming Soviet missiles. Now, it will host the first face-to-face meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin since the war began. But Ukraine and the European Union have been excluded from the talks. That decision has raised alarm across Western capitals. Russia's position is clear. Moscow demands the surrender of the remaining 9,000 square kilometers of Donetsk still held by Ukraine. That would give Putin near total control of the Donbas, its industry, its resources, and its strategic rail links. Ukraine's position is just as clear. President Volodymyr Zelensky refuses to give up any territory, calling it unconstitutional and a green light for future invasions. He also wants binding security guarantees, a subject not even on the agenda. The timing of Russia's offensive is no accident. By breaking through near Pokrovsk just days before the summit, Moscow arrives at the table with fresh territorial gains. It is a calculated move, one meant to pressure Trump into acknowledging facts on the ground and to force Ukraine's allies into a corner. And in Alaska, the wrong move could bring Europe closer to a wider conflict than at any time in decades. Three outcomes are on the table. The first, territorial concessions. Ukraine agrees to give up the last parts of Donetsk still under its control. Russia claims victory, consolidates the Donbas, and frees up forces for other objectives. But this path carries a risk. It signals that borders can be changed by force, inviting further aggression. The second, total resistance. Ukraine rejects any deal, keeps fighting, and relies on Western support to hold the line. The war drags on, casualties mount, economies strain, and the front line freezes into a long, grinding stalemate. The third, a partial deal without Ukraine at the table. A ceasefire is announced, but with no binding commitments. Russian troops remain in occupied territories. The front stays tense, and both sides prepare for the day the fighting resumes. Each path has a price, and the decisions made now will determine whether that price is paid in territory or in lives. If you found this analysis useful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring clear, fact-based coverage of the world's most important events.